Nothing gets me fired up like that intro, bro.
What's up?
You know what I'm saying? It's so loud. It just gets in your brain. You're like, yeah, like good stuff's about to happen. You know what I mean?
Good stuff going down.
Yeah, it is. So, just gonna say, I am Team Jason Julian tonight.
Team Julian. American Temperature Control right here, baby.
That's right. So it's kind of funny. Eric jumped into the chat before the show, and I seen that shirt, and I was like, dang. I was like, I could have wore that shirt, but mine's a medium. That was a little boo-boo at the house.
Oh, so I was
like, yeah.
Dude, that's a muscle shirt right there.
Yeah. Maybe I should go put it on.
Show off them guns, baby. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Show off them guns.
That's right. Then I was like, wait a minute. I have my Jason Julian shirt, right? And I had the cool glasses to go with the Jason Julian shirt. And I'm just gonna say, for company shirts, Jason Julian is batting 1,000, right? This shirt is awesome. It fits good. It looks good. Now I look like I could be in the pits of NASCAR, 100%, which is also kind of cool.
Well, you might be in the pits, but I'm a driver, baby. Look at that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm the pit man. You're the driver.
You don't do any better than Doug Kroll on this stuff. I mean, he has.
So for those who are new to the Grapevine Show, this is a show all about NASCAR.
That's right.
Well, welcome.
All about NASCAR.
We're talking about
NASCAR. HVAC NASCAR, baby.
That's right. No, on a serious note, welcome to the Grapevine Show. I'm your host, Chris. To my right, Eric Kaiser. And our third wheel is not here today.
We don't know where he's at.
Maybe he will be eventually. I don't know. He's probably watching the game. And for those who are here, when we say the game, we mean the football game.
The big football game.
Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us. I got no dog in the fight. I'm not a sports guy. I don't watch it hardly at all. Like I probably haven't watched the big game in probably 15 years.
My family's watching the game on the other side of that wall right now. And the only reason they're probably watching it is because, my wife and my daughter want to see Taylor Swift probably make an appearance and probably sing, like it may happen. I'm like, it's not going to happen, but they're over there doing this. So this is the battle. It's us versus the Super Bowl. So this is the Grapevine Super Bowl right here.
That's right. Super Bowl of Grapevine, baby.
So what are we talking about? So seeing as we have two company shirts of, I would say, two company owners who have probably brought some of the most knowledge to air sealing ductwork that we have ever seen in the trade for current, like this, what I'm saying? The last, let me ask you a question, Eric. In the last, say, 5 years, between the two guys in these two shirts, who's in the field brought more to the table? I don't know if there's anybody.
I don't know. I mean, Doug has tested. So if you don't know Doug Kroll of American Temperature Control, like he literally had to go out and buy a new orifice for his duct blaster because his leakage was so low, right? And you know more about that than I do because he uses the TEC product there. And I think they helped him out to get Steve helped him out to get the right size washer.
Yep.
Oh man, who's that guy?
Who we got? Look, all their shirts hanging up. All their shirts hanging up.
It's the referee. It's the referee.
Yeah, man.
I made it.
Right,
I was flying down the road in the car.
I thought you sold us out to the game, and I was like,
dude, you guys, check it out.
I know.
I got a plethora. Wait, here we go. I can't do it.
Yeah, you look.
I got my merch.
I was about to say, it looks like you're running a store.
Yeah,
like,
I brought you.
How much can I get one of the Magic Quick hats for?
Yeah, you got to follow the link. Subscribe. Throw the thumbs up. Magic Quick. We got Copeland, NCI. Whatever you got.
Racked up.
Yeah.
So
My
join us,
energy
man.
drink brought
We
to you
were
by
just-
Rain.
So we're talking about duct tightness, and we were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about Doug's experience with duct tightness. So
Yeah.
Doug
Keep it
has
tight.
Yeah, keep it tight. Oh, there's a funny story I'll tell you
Get it
later.
right. Keep it tight. Yeah. Doug did what? Two CFM?
He got way low. Like literally, he got low enough to where he got to a ring that we don't make that ring for the duct blaster per se. Or actually,
yeah.
believe it or not, we do make that ring, but like the only people who buy them are in Europe, and Europe uses them for air tightness of windows.
Right.
Very, very, very small ring that goes on the duct blaster. Most people in the States have never heard of this ring, right? So we don't advertise it or anything. But Doug was trying to test something out, and he was in a pinch. And so Steve did some math on a metal washer for Doug. And so Doug taped a metal washer with a specific size hole in it to the back of the smallest ring we have so he could measure duct leakage. Now, there is some marginal inaccuracy with that, okay? Because like there's a lot that goes into that measurement.
Right.
Right. The rings have a shape for a reason, I guess is what I'm saying, to like really bring it on to dumb it down as much as I can. And so the O-ring is not going to have that same shape, whatnot. So there's a little inaccuracy there, but I don't know to what degree it's not going to measure properly. But let's just say he was getting down around below a CFM.
I told him to put refrigerant in there.
So it's plus or minus 1 CFM at that point.
Yeah, something like
plus
that.
Plus or minus a hair or two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I told him, dude, why don't what's funny is I called Doug while he was making it, and I was like, dude, throw like a tracer gas in there and use your electronic leak detector. Now you're going into a whole new realm of duct tightness, bro.
Yeah.
And I can't help you.
Yep. So
he's on another level. But I thought you guys could have gave him like a blank plug, and then he could just drill it with like a metric drill hole. Or
I think Doug might be on Facebook.
Oh, there he is.
0.61.
0.61 CFM.
Yeah. So
that's ridiculous.
Doug's claim to fame is, getting ducts really, really tight. And I believe he did that with no spray foam. Now Doug's in the north, right? So humidity's a thing, but it's not nearly as a thing as it would be
north.
Say, like for me.
He's northern Illinois, so that's not like far north.
Okay. But let's go to where Jason Julian's at, right? If I'm not mistaken, isn't Jason in Arkansas?
Yeah, somewhere in Arkansas.
I think so.
I think maybe northern Arkansas.
Does it say it on the shirt?
No, I don't know.
It doesn't say it. Nope.
No, we'll have to. You know what? I'll Google it.
Oh, the Google works. That's right.
Google.
Get the Google out.
Get your Google out.
So, Jason, when I believe Jason started this idea.
Oh, there you
Correct
go.
me if I'm wrong.
Right there.
Oh, look, he beat me to it. There we go.
North Central.
So Jason,
North side.
all of a sudden in Facebook, I seen this guy, and I seen like tubes of metal duct spray foamed, right? And it's pretty linear. Like it's not all like bulged out. It's like it looked like it was almost factory done a little bit.
It's freaking beautiful.
It's like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So he's spray foaming his duct, and let's just say that's an impressive thing, because it's like nobody. Who would have thought to do that? That's impressive.
Jason did.
Jason freaking Julian did. That's who.
That's
JJ.
That's really going there. So
that cuts down on a lot of leakage.
So let's talk about that, right? So if you're dealing with vented attic work or crawl space that's vented, what's the benefit of all that spray foam on the ductwork, right? And you could increase that R value to whatever you want, really. You just keep spraying it. But you could get to a really, really good R value if you want, but you can air seal that mess out of that duct system with spray foam.
Is Jason in the chat right now? Because I want to know what I didn't ask him what R value that roughly.
He's in Facebook chat right now.
I would like to know it, Jason, if you're in the chat. I would assume you're spraying it with closed cell foam.
I think so.
Okay, there he is. That I was thinking it'd be closed cell foam, so 1.5 inches R9.
R9, sweet. Dang. Dude. Damn.
Yeah. And that's like a no BS R9. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a hammer down R9.
Yeah.
Or
2 inches.
R11.
Yeah. So he might be like 10 or 11 on a high spot.
Well-
So think about that, dude. I mean, he's literally getting also, if it's closed cell, you're getting
cell.
the strength of closed cell.
Well,
Yeah,
so
he-
I mean,
he's-
My flex duct is if it hits anything, you know, I know Rick Sims says don't touch nothing, but in the real world, sometimes it happens. Like you put like a strap around it, you're gonna lose a little bit of insulation. Not JJ. He's got it.
The thing is too, like when you do that, and I've seen pictures of him standing on this stuff.
Yeah.
So like if you're running that through an attic, you now don't have to worry about somebody kneeling on it.
Right. Exactly.
Jason, if you're by a computer, I'm putting a link to the show in the chat right now. You're welcome to come on the show and chit chat about this. Bring it.
It's crazy, dude. You know what's funny? We were in class. Me and Jason were sitting next to each other, and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm building a house. I'm doing this," and I'm like, "Bro, why don't you just ship it out to him, and then he could hire a local contractor to just put your ductwork in." And he was thinking about it. He's like, ship it out, man.
I wonder if we'll get to a point if he started something that may come full circle eventually, and we could see spray foamed links of ductwork being sold to the marketplace.
I don't see why not, because that's how he does it. Like he spray foams. He'll take the 5
shop,
foot
right?
length of duct, and he spray foams. I think all but like the last 3 inches of each duct.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, they'll cut them and fit them out in the field. And then all they do is they take a portable machine. I think they use the same machine both at the shop and in the field, if I remember right, from talking to him a little bit. But then in the field, they spray foam that last joint.
Yes.
So there's, you know, any joints in the field, they're spray foaming, which, man, that's a tight sealed, well insulated system. Now,
Isn't that
you
cool?
still, if my mind is thinking about this correctly, you still can't bury that in fiberglass because you're going to run in a humid climate because you're going to run into the exact same thing.
Well, let's go back to what Rick Sims would say to that. And I believe, didn't Rick Sims say once you got to R13, you've basically
he touched on it.
You've kind of insulated yourself beyond to need to even worry about any of that anymore?
Rick Sims also
don't
touched
remember.
on the fact that you could bury flex in blown insulation, but it's
Yeah,
been
but
so
if you
long.
do in a it depends on the humidity of the climate. But if you do in a really humid climate, you can get condensation if it's buried in the insulation.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. If you go to, I believe that's what Rick's condensation. I believe in that presentation, I thought he was adamant about once you got to R13, you don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think that's the case, but I don't remember all the numbers in that presentation because it's been more than a day or so.
I watched it
and
3 times, dude, and I
I've slept
don't
since
remember.
then.
We're all
Yeah,
watching
it's
it
like-
again because somebody needs to know.
Dude, I know it's towards like 70% towards the end. That's where he talks about throwing flex under a mountain of what is it? Loose fill insulation, fiberglass,
Blown in.
blown in. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He talks about it, but it's very short. He does touch on the subject because it's interesting. Some people have done that.
Hausch has a spreadsheet.
All right.
Damn right, he's got a spreadsheet.
If you know Hausch, he's got a spreadsheet to calculate it because he's the Hausch.
Yep, this old house.
Yeah.
Episode 52, baby. Spreadsheets are us.
Man, if we ever get that TV series off the ground, this old house needs to be a
Dude.
series.
How cool would that be?
That would be an awesome TV series. This old Hausch.
Going around doing blower doors and duct leakage all day.
You
This
know,
old house.
I would like to know who has more spreadsheets, Michael Hausch or Steve Rogers.
Oh man. So I'll
might
tell you,
That'll be an episode, bro. There you go. Show me the spreadsheets.
I will bet you money. Steve Rogers has more, and this is why. Because Steve doesn't really label his spreadsheets very well unless it's like a really, really, really good one, right? A whole lot of work was done. Like I've had meetings with Steve where Steve's like, we'll just figure that out real quick, throws up a spreadsheet and he just starts going to work. Before you know it, we're like an hour and a half deep. And we're like 3 tabs open, spreadsheets, sheets talking to sheets. And he's like, you see what I mean? I'm like, yeah, we should keep that spreadsheet. And so he'll like, oh, I'll send it to you. And so he sends it to me with no name.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
and I know he doesn't go label them and put them somewhere because I'll bring it back up. This is some of the stuff you guys have actually seen come from us has happened this way. And I'm like, Steve, we could use this spreadsheet for this. We could incorporate it, like the Roomulator, for example. Like we did spreadsheets on that.
Right.
Steve's like, yeah. He's like, I can't find that spreadsheet because he didn't name it. And I'm like, well, I named it. I saved it. I'm like what do you call that little thing with all the index cards? The Rolodex. I'm like the Rolodex of Steve. I'm like, hang on. Got it.
Got to get that Dewey Decimal System.
Send
going.
it back to you. Here it is. And he's like, oh, okay.
You're the Rolodex of Steve's spreadsheets. That's hilarious.
It is, man. Like he sends it to me, and all I think is gold, right? And it's like, oh, I'm saving that. Like I have a whole bank of Microsoft Excel spreadsheets of crap we've done. And I label because I'm like, damn, that was fun. And he just like doesn't worry about it because he knows he could just rebuild it again anytime he wants. It's wild, man.
Trip. That's a trip. That's why every year at the Animal House, I bring that whiteboard. I try to get as much out as I can out of them. It's like, all right, let's save this board. All right, we'll put that one away. What else you got?
Apparently, what we need to do is like bring him a laptop, hook it up to the TV, and he just sits there and builds spreadsheets all night long.
Dude, I got Dillhard back there.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's coming, man. The article's coming.
Oh, you're writing an article on it?
I've written a little bit of it, but it's not nearly done. But I gotta find time to focus and write it out. And if anybody wants to know what we're talking about, so I'll just go ahead and let's break the ice on this. So during the symposium, I had to do a panel discussion about dehumidification, and I thought it'd be a good idea to read a Santa Fe manual that night. So we're all having a good time. And I was like, I'm just going to read through a manual, reground myself on a few of the rules. And I'm thinking like, man, what the hell am I going to bring to this discussion, right? I've been out of the trade for like 2 years, like actually as a contractor. And I'm like now I'm like most airflow knowledge stuck in my brain 24/7. I'm like, what am I going to really bring? So I'm like looking through the manual, looking for nuggets of knowledge of like what's going to be fun to talk about. And the 0.5 inches of water column stopped me in my tracks. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. 0.5 inches of water column, like that's the resistance I can't get past or whatever. And we've talked about that a couple times. Oh, stop.
Hold on.
I got a 2-hand stop.
0.5 what? Let's explain that.
Break.
For anybody that hasn't read the manual.
Okay, if you haven't read, now this was on, I believe, the 70 pint that they make ducted. And what it says in the manual,
I did not read that manual.
You got to read that manual. So the manual says you don't want to have the machine operate against 0.5 inches of water column. So you don't want the resistance.
Is it most ductwork at 0.5?
Say what?
Supply? Oh wait, 0.0, like 2?
Yeah.
Shoot, let me get my airflow. What do I got here? Where's my true flow grid?
So Dustin's correcting me. I feel like he's saying 0.2 for DHU, and he says at rated capacity. I don't know what you mean there.
I just did something here. Tell Doc Comfort I said hello, bro.
So there's a capacity range that's going to change based on the resistance against the fan, right? Because the resistance against the fan is going to change the flow of the dehum, and the more flow, essentially, you can get more dehumidification. Is what I'm thinking, right? Yeah. So I'm sitting there reading that, and as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, man, what if we could just like, I don't know, something hit me. I was drawing the picture in my mind, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, we have an operational blower on the air conditioner. I was like, why couldn't we just use that in some kind of way? And then it dawned on me. I was like, man, what if we just pipe the supply of the dehum right into the top of the blower, very similar to how a furnace would capture its return coming into the side next to the motor. I was like, but this would be an air handler cabinet, right?
Exactly.
It only works on an air handler cabinet. You could cut a hole right by the blower on the air handler cabinet. And I get the whole UL conversation, right? It's going to break UL listing on the equipment. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? I've broken way more rules than that since I've been in the trade.
Who's going to come by and inspect it?
Right.
You know?
If the DHUM has a dedicated return and you pipe it into the air handler, essentially, now there's some nuances here I haven't quite figured out, but you could eliminate all that resistance as a problem. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're going to go to all that trouble, why don't you just put a reheat coil downstream of the air conditioning coil and just not have all of that extra stuff and just bring the air right into the return?
I mean, turn your air conditioner into a dehumidifier or a dedicated outdoor air system, kind of like a recirculating. It wouldn't exactly be a DOAS, but it would be.
No, it's not a DOAS, but it's a dehumidifying system with Lennox has that. They call it the
I know what you're talking about,
or something like that. But
didn't they tee the liquid line to do that? If I'm not mistaken, isn't that how they accomplished it? They didn't send a hot gas line from the outdoor unit. They sent I want to say they split the liquid line, and that's how they fed the reheat coil. It was something weird like that.
I like the way you were looking at it, man. It's simple. You know, you don't have to do any piping.
I'm with.
Come on, now.
So
let's not complicate this.
I do like it. Like there is the standalone DHUM. Nothing's changed except where you terminate the supply. But I do think there's going to have to be some type of control of the amount of airflow downstream. And I ain't quite work that up in my head. I think I want to play around with something. You know what I mean?
Eric, it was awesome. He was like talking about it, and then all of a sudden I saw that light bulb go off, and he smiled, and he's like, "Yeah,
stroke of genius."
Well, I saw all the drawing and stuff on the board, but I have questions about how complicated it is.
I don't think it's going to be that complicated. Are you going
to do one compressor or two?
What do you mean? You're going to have just
going to use like a 70 or a 95 pipe it supply right into that air handler cabinet.
Kind of what you're doing. What it sounds to me like you're doing is essentially making we were talking kind of like an economizer, but with a dehumidification feature on the economizer. If you think about how an economizer works on a rooftop, right, where it modulates the two dampers opposite of each other.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be some type of damper control, because
but I thought we were talking about it. I thought it was all right if it,
Well, if the resistance through the DHUM is less than the resistance through the coil of the main AC, you're going to have a lot more pull coming through the DHUM than it's even rated for. Let's say that 70 pints rated at 160 CFM. What if we're moving 250, right? What if we double the amount of flow through the DHUM? That could be a problem.
It'll make the coil sweat a little bit more. I mean, it's like I got 100 CFM of duct leakage on most of these houses around here anyway, right?
Well, we could damper that down, though. That's an easy fix.
Here's the thing, though. You're only going to be pulling through the dehumidifier. You're only going to be pulling as much air as is leaking out of the house elsewhere.
Say that again.
Say that again.
You're pulling
not
as
if
much.
Is the dehumidifier coming from the house or coming from outside?
Well, that's something we haven't discussed either. Some of it might be outside, and some of it might not.
But there could be a dampener on both, on the supply of the dehu and also the ventilation.
Your outside air could have its own damper and be opening and closing, depending on if you want to add outside air.
Once the air conditioner gets full speed, we don't really need the dehu that much, right? I mean,
well, and my only caution on this is, you're dealing with residential here. Yes, baby. Keep it stupid simple.
Yeah.
No, agree 100%.
I agree.
Agree 100%. And I'm not
Where's the
saying it
thumbs
would
up
be.
things on here? That doesn't work no more.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be. All I'm saying is until we've flesh it out,
Yeah. Oh,
we
100%.
we don't know how easy it could be. This
Yeah.
could be simple. This could be as simple as like, get the main AC all the way
Yeah.
up, run it through the D-hum, and
My wife's gonna be mad if I do this.
set the manual damper call a day. I don't know.
Everybody hold on.
What? Dang.
This was Julian.
Look at this
Can you
dude.
guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
What's
Beautiful.
happening?
Jason Julian, everybody.
Boom.
Looking
Welcome to the
good.
show.
Hey, Doug,
There he is.
represented right there by Eric.
Hey man,
Nice.
hey guys, boss is here. I got to straighten up the attitude. Boss man's in the house.
Good to see
Hey,
you, man.
Paul.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. How you guys doing?
Talking smack about things that'll never come to fruition, but
A little
about you?
mad that I'm not watching Usher right now.
yeah,
Who?
Usher. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a game, bro. This is the Grapevine Show, okay?
That's right.
This is the Grapevine Show.
This is the
What
place.
was the
Right
thumbnail
here.
again?
Right
What
here.
was what was it?
I don't remember. It's a battle, man. It's a battle. It's this show or the Super Bowl. What are you gonna do? We already know what Jason's doing.
That's
Jason's
right.
watching the show.
We love Jason.
Jason,
Thanks.
what's new? Let's talk about your spray foam, man. How did this idea originate?
So I'm not the very first to have even tried to spray foam ductwork. The rep for DAP came into one of my local supply houses and said, hey, we're going to try to do this. And they showed us how they were applying this to their ductwork. And nobody had really taken the plunge to get on and do it. And they're like, hey, this machine's like $7,000. You get this, and we're going to show you how to do it. And I'm like, sure, I'll try anything.
Yeah,
And because where we're at in Arkansas, it's kind of like you guys in Louisiana, high humidity.
yeah.
And a lot of ductwork is in the attic. 140 plus degree attics are not good for ductwork.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, we keep putting them there.
I'm over.
Yeah. So I had a customer that actually wanted to try something different, and that was our first deal, and we wasted a lot of time and a lot of money trying to figure out how to do this the correct way.
But man, that's how you trailblaze right there, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I myself have pulled that card quite a few times. I have spent a lot of money in business and like took the plunge, and I'm like, man, this is going to suck. It's going to be painful, but we're going to figure it out. And then we're going to figure out how to do it right. And then we'll be known for it. And you can make some good money when you trailblaze, or you figure out that's not what you want to do real quick.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, like if you're making, so I do this. I've got this one presentation that like shows a house, just a perfect house with a perfect envelope on it, but then we cut holes in it, put ductwork. And like if you're making that ductwork as tight or tighter than the shell of the house, I don't see a problem putting ductwork in attic.
Yeah, but that's the problem is trying to make it like that. That's the shoot, man. That's
the holy grail there. And I think, I mean, I don't know, Jason, are you testing your duct systems to see how tight they are, or have you done any of that?
We have tested a few. I'm not currently doing that on every job. But when we have spray foamed, I mean, it's not as tight as Doug's, but
it's
Right.
tight.
it's pretty tight. So
Yeah.
the nice thing is, like you mentioned earlier, while I was trying to mess around and get on here, we can stand on the ductwork. That's incredible.
Dude,
I mean, I can
just
have
that right there.
a 250-pound guy stood on the ductwork going across, and you can't knock it out of the way. Guys working up in the attic doing cable or doing anything else,
Right.
that's not going to damage our ductwork. I mean,
Yeah.
we literally have to take a Sawzall and cut it when we cut it to size.
Dang.
I love it.
So I do have a
That makes it
question.
way faster and easier to cut a section of duct, though. You just slice right on through it. One long blade, right on through, baby.
So, man, here's something I got to ask you, Jason. This would be my fear of that. Um, let's say you go to a house and, you know, I guess what I'm thinking of is, how do you know if your homeowner is going to expand, build out another room, close in a garage? You know what I'm saying? And there's like the changes that come down the pipe. Because when I see this spray foam ductwork installed on the job, I'm thinking, damn, that's permanent. Like there's permanent and then there's permanent,
Right.
and that is permanent.
So there is. So going into it, we rarely do any kind of retro stuff with existing ductwork and spray foam it. We've gone in and sealed up because we saw some really crappy ductwork. But the way in which we do ours, like I put a return box filter on each one of my units, so we can always tap in another return somewhere.
Okay.
And the same thing with putting another line. What we do is we run and do our main trunks down there, and then we actually cut into the foam and put our taps on. So
Really?
it is accessible. You can take a multi-tool and go through and cut it. I mean, it's not easy, but nothing good is ever going to really be easy unless you get a true flow grid. So
gotcha. Oh man.
Wow.
Dropping bombs, man.
I'm just saying.
Dude, it's awesome.
No,
Yeah, okay.
You know what? What's really cool is learning that there are things like this to exist that make it easy. Conduit. I mean, I'm going through. I did my whole shop in about 15 minutes today, and did a load on the shop. It's awesome. I can't wait to show people some videos of how we're using it. I mean, it's quick and simple, and it pulls up a great load.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to try that too. I just like trying to find a darn time.
Yep.
But evidently, all I need is 15 minutes. So.
Yeah. What are you doing, Michael?
Doesn't sound like much time to me.
Being a jamoke.
Yeah. So Dustin says they got to use tees, which when he said that, I was thinking, oh man, what a good idea. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever went down your trunk line and then like threw a tee on and then put a cap in it and then spray foamed it up? That way, if you ever had to run another duct, there'd maybe be like a tee with a cap you could pull off. That sounds pretty smart.
That's a pretty good idea.
That's a good idea.
Like I said, we run our main trunks down, and when we need to tap in to run a leg off one of the trunks, we have to actually draw it with a marker and cut into it. It really, my guys have gotten it down.
Yeah, it's not an issue no more.
It's like second nature, yeah.
But it did take, so let me tell you this, for the first year of having the spray foam rig, we were way in the hole on the R&D of getting this done, and I refused to give up. Like I knew there was a market for it here. So many people needed it and wanted it, and we just kept trying. And the way we found how to spray foam pre-spray before we got to the job was the fact that we tried to do it when the weather conditions were not right. The ductwork itself has to be 70 degrees or more, and the ambient temperature around has to be 70 degrees. So now we decided, since we wasted a lot of time and a lot of foam up in an attic in February trying to do a duct job, we had like portable propane heaters in there blowing.
Yeah.
We had heat rolling through the ductwork, but it still wasn't the right temperature. And so we said, screw this. We're going to actually create a spray booth at the shop. And then when we did that, we learned that we could get a more consistent, even product at the end of it.
And you're doing all the shop now, right?
We do everything we can do, except for, like Eric was saying, is anywhere the joints are and anywhere we put dampers, we come in and do that afterwards.
Are you doing that with a different type of froth pack or something, or is that same gear? So
go ahead.
I'm just wondering, like, what if it's how do you schedule these jobs? If, let's say, it's wintertime, you spray it at your shop, you go put it in, and then you have to close up the joints, right? So are you waiting till it warms up to go back and hit that? But then I guess you're kind of running a risk, right? Because those joints could sweat. Or do you?
It's a small joint.
It's a small joint. I do have a few pictures that I've posted, and I'll throw some up after we get off here of what it looks like when we go pre-do it and come back. But we have temporarily wrapped them.
Okay.
With duct wrap, and we've also, since all the joints are done, we can actually fire up the heat pump or the furnace, get the ductwork hot, and have some heaters that are blowing directly on it. And the fact that this machine comes with 100-foot cord on it, I mean a hose, we can get up and go all the way across the attic and spray that little spot. So
I get you. Yeah. So, like, are you
That's cool.
saying once you heat up the ductwork by running the furnace, you get better application?
yes, because the ductwork itself has to be at 70 degrees or above. So we can run it for a little bit and do it and turn it off.
Yeah.
Set the area. I mean, it takes a little bit more time, but we're here to do it right. I'm not really worried about how long it's going to take. We're going to make sure
You're not doing the cheap flex job. So I mean, it's just different scope of work,
Yeah.
man. So
I would imagine.
I want to clarify something real quick because Chris mentioned froth packs. Jason, you're using the DAP CPDS machine, right?
Yes, sir.
God bless you. What are you talking about?
It's a DAP, and the machine is called CPDS. Charlie Paul Delta Sam.
Constant pressure dispensing system.
There you go.
So that's like the machine that people use to do roof decks and stuff.
Yeah, it's got a compressor on it, and there's also a heater that's on there to keep the materials inside at the temperature that they want it on.
Nice.
I'm gonna share a window.
Yeah. Let's see this bad boy.
Share it up. Oh wow.
There it is.
So it's a lot more mobile than I was thinking.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking you had went all the way, bought the truck and everything.
Yeah. And we're tonight we're sponsored by DAP on the job since 1865. See how that grapevine logo's up there? Yep. We're on the site.
But I mean,
Special code
how heavy is that machine, Jason?
I can't tell you offhand, but it does take two guys to lift it. I mean, with the big wheels on the back, we can get it up some steps, but it takes two full grown persons to make it happen.
So
Jason,
do you guys
do you
have
go ahead,
one
Eric.
of them that you move around between the shop and a job, or do you have two of them now where you're like in one, one at the shop, one to go on jobs?
No, we just have one machine. It's about a $6,000 setup to buy that, and then the foam packs, the 750 kits are anywhere from $900 to $1,200, depending on when they decide to go up in price and go down in price. So,
yeah. How many jobs you get out of a A and B tank?
So an A and B tank is set up to do a standard, and I say standard because we don't a 3-ton system. We can most likely do with one set of tanks, but we end up spraying a little bit more. We want to overdo it a little bit, so we go 2-inch instead of the standard 1.5 inch. So it takes about 1.5 kits to do a 3-ton.
Okay.
If that makes sense, because we go back and we make sure we don't want to cut any corners, so we overdo it, and it's going to be fine. It's not going to damage it by doing more. I mean, it's just going to have a better R value.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty awesome though, man.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Like that's some next level stuff right there. I'm just gonna say it.
Well,
Absolutely.
it does a good visual when a customer stops into your office and they said, "Hey, we just moved in. We need a new system. We need a whole new duct system. What do you guys offer?" Because they're not from our area, and I can take them out in the shop and show them a piece of 6-inch pipe that's put together, and I can ask the lady. I asked her. I said, "Just push in on this," and she just pushed in and crinkled that piece of ductwork. And then I grabbed another piece that was 6 inches and 6-inch pipe. And right there, and I stood on it. I jumped on it. I tried to break it. I asked her to. I held her hand. She stood up on it, and she's standing on this little tiny 12-inch piece of 6-inch pipe put together.
Wow.
And can't break it. And she said, "We want that."
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the husband said, "Well, how much does that cost?" And she goes, "I don't care. We want that."
That's what I'm talking about.
So that's the customers we like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say. I mean, that's proof in the pudding, man. That's a great sales tactic, and I don't say that to be like that like pushy and salesy and
right.
No, I'm like that's like proof in the pudding. That's like A game.
So when you guys then put that in, go through a ceiling, go down into a wall, do you foam that down to the ceiling and down to the walls then? So essentially you're making that ductwork connected to the house air ceiling envelope. That air barrier.
So in any of the ceiling boots, we spray all the way around them, even though they're already insulated when we put them in. We
Yeah.
spray all the way around it. I've got a few pictures I'll put up in the group chat or whatever at some point and show you guys. I mean, we seal it all the way.
Yeah, throw them in the grapevine because I mean,
Yeah.
I think to me, this is the only way to put ducts in an attic, like, really properly. Now, I've
Right.
done hard pipe where I sleeved flex on it, and I think
Yeah, I've
that's
done that.
it's
I'm
a
guilty
lot
of
of
that.
work. But you just, like you jump up
Yeah.
one nominal size above whatever your hard pipe is, and then you
Yep.
sleeve flex over it, and
Yep.
then masticing everything.
Now let
Yeah.
me ask you a question. How do you sell this versus a normal flex duct job? Like how do you just offer?
So here in Oregon, we don't do a whole lot of flex duct. We actually will offer it if someone wants a really budget friendly option.
Okay.
But the easiest way, and it may not be the right way. It may not be how. I mean, DAP tried to get us in this spreadsheet to show us how much could go in a 100-foot section, and none of that made sense to me. So we charge basically a per run price for our ductwork, and we're pretty high compared to those around here. Like for a standard 28 gauge duct system with duct wrap, with 1.5-inch duct wrap, we're at $649 per run. So trunk, line, all that stuff. On the spray foam, we're $949. So almost $1,000 per run to do spray foam ductwork.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
but I would have thought much more. Honestly, in my mind, I was thinking it was going to be a lot more.
And if you're doing train, your air handler is already using the same type of foam. So it'll be a whole continuity. Yeah, whole continuity.
So what we found is how much time we are saving by doing the spray foam in the shop, because we just did the week I was actually gone to the symposium, my crew did a 2-ton and a 3-ton unit out of spray foam. It took my guy in the shop 1 day to spray foam all the ductwork for a 2 and a 3-ton system. We did the duct design, we laid it all out. So he took all the pipe, that's snapping it together and getting it ready, put it in the spray foam booth, went through and did that. It took him 10 hours, not a regular 8-hour day, but it took him 10 hours to pop it all together and spray foam everything for that job. And they went and installed it in 2 days.
That's awesome.
Jason, you're like, how like contractors complain about, I feel like we know this. There's a lot of contractors who maybe don't offer ductwork because they're like, damn it, I don't want to do ductwork. Ductwork's a pain in the you-know-what, right?
Yeah.
But, dude, you just turned the ductwork game into, like, profit. Like it's like you're probably – I'm not saying you're making just as much money as you do on the equipment, but, you're making decent money. I hope you're making decent money, right? But you're delivering some freaking awesome work to a customer. So it's like totally justified, right, to be making good money installing this foam insulated ductwork.
So we sold a job a few days ago that the ductwork cost more than the system replacement. So
that's awesome, dude.
And the customer's super happy. They knew they had looked at a few other bids from other guys, and I tried to tell the customers when I go, I'm not really here to try to bid the job. Like, I'm not trying to get the job. This is what it's going to take for us to do it. Right. These are the benefits for doing it this way. And
offer and decline, right?
Yeah, we can get exactly. I use that every time. We're going to offer this. This is what we can do. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, that we're $4,000 more than this other company, but you're getting us. Yeah. You're getting us.
Just get the regular stuff. If you don't like the price, just get the regular junk.
Well, and you mentioned Train. We don't sell just Train. We sell Amana. We sell Rheem. We sell Train. We sell Mitsubishi. We offer and let them decline. We show them the benefits of each one, but every proposal we give them is actually going to work. They get to choose. That's why man, whoever coined, I don't know if it was Nate that coined responsibly avoiding responsibility. I love that because I give them options and I let them pick.
Yeah.
That way they can't say, well, you told me that you and Mike said that TAM 9 was going to be what I needed and I'm having all these issues. No, I told you a TAM 9 would work with an XV, but also a 2-stage Amana is going to do fine. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm over it. It's like you pick. I don't care.
Yeah. That's
I don't. I
that's
don't. I
interesting.
don't see options. I see all the options the same. Whatever you guys want to pick.
Well, I told him that the thing is the labor on us is the same. So whatever brand you pick or whatever SEER rating or whatever things that you
Yeah.
want in this doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
The difference in our price is the difference of the cost of the equipment. This one may be a little bit higher because that cost me a little bit more, but the labor's the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Selling craftsmanship, dude. That's what I heard.
If I could
It's like
sell a
the-
13 seer, I'd put one in for you.
So I'm
Yes.
curious, and if you don't want to go there, I totally understand. But I'm curious, how does do you have any competition in your market that like almost one maybe resents you for what you do because they're thinking, "Damn, I can't keep up with that," or or do they bash you because of what you're doing, or are they naysaying the foam ductwork? I'm curious to hear
I'd
what
say
the
No,
both.
like.
okay. So there is actually another contractor in town that does spray foam ductwork. He bought the same machine from the same supplier, and we end up getting a lot of their customers calling us after because I've been and saw some of their spray foam jobs, and it would not have passed our quality check. And so they're trying it, and I'll give them props for trying.
Yeah, and good
Yeah.
for
And, you
them.
know,
Look at
and
look at
I'm
that.
not-
You're bringing the community up, bro.
So we don't bash each other, but there was a lot of companies in this town that when I started my company a few years ago, were like, "Who's this kid? He's only been doing HVAC for this long, and he's going to start." We have 25 HVAC companies in a town of 8,000 people, and
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
kidding. I'm not
Holy
kidding.
smokes!
So, but we have a lake area, lake town. So there's a lot of people and little surrounding areas around where we live. But there's literally 25 companies in this town.
That's a
And
trip.
Yeah.
we started 4 years ago and blowing the top off of it, man.
That's
It's
cool,
awesome.
man. That's
That
cool.
is-
You got another company trying it out, man. You know, hey, competition's good.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, they'll probably go through the same process you did, where they ran a
Yeah.
couple situations where they figured out it didn't work. Maybe
Yeah.
hit up the DAP rep and say, "Hey, why is this not applying like it needs to?"
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got to go through their learning curves on
Well, then
anything.
I don't try to hide it. I've taken a note from the Grapevine and HVAC school. I post all of it online. Like when we find a new way, I'm like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. I'm not trying to hide it and say, oh, we're the only ones that do it.
Yeah.
I don't care if they know, and I would be happy to help any of the other companies learn what we've done.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them as competition. We're
Yeah.
going to raise the
Yeah,
rising
you're raising
tide
the
lifts
bar.
all ships.
For $125 an hour consulting fee. Yes. I ain't gonna let you do that for free, man. Come on now. No,
Well,
I'm
I
messing
agree
with
with you, Jason. You nailed it, dude. You have to get. I've been saying this. I'll say it again. We have to bring the consumers along this journey,
Yeah.
and when the consumers are used to hearing, the competition offering flex jobs, but selling a flex job that's probably not even strapped up, right, and selling it for
Yeah.
a premium, then the consumer thinks, well, that's normal, and that's not normal. But all of us here know that a lot of that is being sold as normal and at a premium, and
Yeah.
consumers have no idea. I have walked in many, many houses in my area, and I've witnessed jobs that were sold at a premium. The consumer's telling me the pricing, and I'm looking at it, and the flex is just laying across the rafter boards, like no flex cut off the 25-foot run. They just use the whole bag, right? And it's definitely not a 25-foot run being sold as a premium job. Like that hurts when you see it because you're just thinking, like, man, and at this point, they don't want to spend a bunch of money to fix it, right? Because they just spent a bunch of money to get it. And that's super annoying. So,
It's crazy. It's cool. You're bringing a whole industry to a different level too. It's really neat.
yeah. Well, I see it as like I can't think of one right now, but there's probably some houses or situations where encapsulating the attic is not a good idea. And then if you have the ductwork running through the house in the vented attic, what do you do? And this seems like a really good fit for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because up here, where the farther north you get into the colder climates, it can be hazardous to encapsulate an attic
Mhm.
because you end up getting a warmer roof in the wintertime. And when you get a lot of snow on that roof, it causes ice damming,
Oh wow.
which is where the snow will melt. The snow actually acts as insulation. When you get more than about 2 inches of snow on there, it starts acting as serious insulation. So then it melts a little bit of that snow at the bottom.
Right
Well,
on
that
the
water runs
rooftop, right?
down underneath the snow on top, but when it hits the eave that hangs out away from the house, that eave is cold and it freezes
just
right
builds
there
up.
between the gutter and where the wall of the house hits the roof. And then you end up with ice building up, and it actually freezes back underneath the shingles,
Man,
and it'll
I
pop the
just saw
shingles
something
up.
like that on YouTube.
And you can actually cause roof leaks with that, and it'll eat the eaves right off the house if you don't have good
it rips the
water
material
sealing.
off.
Yeah, it'll pop. Well, you think about what ice does, right? It actually swells a little bit when it freezes, so it'll
Right.
work its way under the shingles,
Right, and
and it'll
pull it.
it'll soak that roof material, and it'll rot the edge of the roof off eventually, or cause water leaks and all kinds of things.
So
in the
like
house.
Canada area, Jason's ductwork would be great.
Even up where in northern Illinois north, even mid Illinois north, kind of that border between, was it climate zone 4 and 5, and they're just a little bit north into 5. It's a real problem. And a lot of areas farther north, it's even common to have that section of the roof will be metal. Like they'll do shingles up from that, but then they'll do metal, and they'll actually put electric heaters.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
they'll put electric heaters down on that eave area that make sure that water sheds off into the gutter, because they get enough snow up there and it stays for long periods of time.
So this is something I definitely don't know a lot about, but are you saying that the snow melts and then runs to the eave and then freezes before it falls?
You ever hear of black ice, buddy?
Well, it's not black ice,
it's kind of, it's that slick, it's crazy.
Let me ask
and then you get that soft snow that goes on top of it, and it just makes a snowpack.
So I'm trying to tie two things in my head together at one time. Like snow actually has an R value to it.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's like R1 per inch or something like that.
Ask the Eskimos.
So here's an ice dam picture.
Damn.
All right. So you get that heat coming up, and if this is insulated here, right? This is one thing that a ventilated attic does well, is it keeps the bottom side of that roof cold.
Yeah.
So
which allows the snow to stay in place all the way up.
It allows it to be snow everywhere.
Right.
Rather than, but if you change that insulation, because if your insulation's down here, you're losing some heat up here. And if you warm this space up, you melt a little bit of that snow layer, and it ice dams right here. And then you start backing it up into here, and this whole area just gets saturated with water if you don't have a good membrane or something under the shingles to keep the water from getting into that deck.
Dude, made perfect sense. I was sitting there in my mind thinking, what's he talking about? I'm like, because I was thinking, okay, you have the R value of snow, but then I was thinking, oh wait, the underbelly of the roof's cold all the way, so the snow is not going to melt. It's when the attic gets warm, it melts, it runs down. There's a pocket of water, the water runs in. It makes sense now.
Or if you have no I think guys were in the winter were taking pictures of roofs, and you'd see like a hot spot where the snow would melt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you guys call that again, Eric?
Hot spot.
It's just the guys are just taking pictures, boom, and you could see it. It's crazy. It's called Move to Florida.
It's a place where heat is getting up in the attic. It's just melting the snow, but that water from that snow melt is running underneath the rest of the snow that's below it.
Crazy stuff.
And if it hits a colder spot below it, it'll refreeze underneath that snow.
I got a question, not from the snow area, obviously. So how does like I'm just thinking about the electric heat on the roof. That's got to be expensive.
Oh yeah,
Right?
it can be.
Like such a waste of money. Right?
Well,
Is there
okay,
another strategy to that?
it's essentially just a kind of like an electric pipe heater. You know, the heat tape you wrap around your pipes.
yeah.
Or
they
like
do
the
that-
defrost on a car. Nothing
Kind
much.
of, yeah, but it's just enough to keep it above freezing. It's not like
Right.
we're trying to warm that up.
Yeah,
to
we're not
70
we're not
degrees.
going for 80 here.
Yeah,
but
no.
geez.
It's just enough to keep it above freezing, and you turn it on certain times in the year. My grandparents had it on their house outside of Chicago. That was
So,
the first place
I got
actually
a question.
saw that.
Is TEC gonna hook Mr. Julian up with a nice duck blaster or what?
What? Hey man, no pressure here. No pressure here. And that's all the time we got for today, folks.
And
Shut
now
it
for a word
down.
from our sponsors at DAP.
Yeah.
Look at that lever. Goosh. I want to get a casino like a boom.
I don't know. I think it would be even better if DAP hooked him up with a duck blaster to
Right?
be able to,
Right. Yeah.
prove how tight those ducks are.
So
Yeah.
I do have a quick little story. I know there's not a lot of time left in the show, but when we did this one job where we spray foamed the entire duct system, we actually put in 4 systems in this house. It was a monster house right on the lake. And one of the lady that owned the house, for some reason, didn't think we did everything right. So she called in and got the state inspector to come up. I had never met the state
Nice.
inspector. Okay. Not the head of the state inspectors. Okay.
Right. So you had 2 coffees that morning when you showed up, right?
Oh man, I'm telling you what, I almost thought about drinking again, but
Oh, man.
just kidding.
That was stressful times. Damn.
Just kidding. But we met over there, and it was cool because not only did the regular inspector that was sent to the job first, but the head of the inspectors came out, and I got to meet them. First thing he asked, he's like, "Where's your manual J, your manual D, and your manual S?" Because this lady that doesn't think you did this right. And so
Right.
before we ever went in the house, I handed him a portfolio with all the information in. He's like, "Oh,
Heck yeah.
oh wow, I wasn't expecting that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we got in there. And
Boom. Get out of my face.
yes,
Yeah.
we crawled around and went in and looked at this duct work. And as we're doing this inspection, he asked me if he could take pictures of our work so that they could show the people they're training how to do duct work for the state of Arkansas, because it's allowed in Arkansas per code.
Dude, that's awesome.
And so we've become good friends ever since. Like, he was coming there to shut me down or do something with me, and then we became good friends. And he actually wanted to
That's
take
cool.
pictures of our duct system, and then let me take pictures of him walking around with us, inspecting our system, and then they used it every once in a while when they're doing trainings.
Dude, that's
awesome.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you were all afraid, and you had no idea you were meeting a new friend and a referral.
Well, and the customer cut a check that day. She'd been holding on to about $20,000 of payment from us because she thought we couldn't do
nice.
something right.
And why did
Yeah.
she think that it wasn't done right? That's what I'd like to know.
My old boss. Too long of a story to go on
Yeah.
here, but
Yeah.
but anyway, we're good friends now. She sends me text messages of her dog all the time.
That's all that matters, man. That's all that matters.
So we're good. We're good friends, and I know the state inspector. Speed
That
dial.
is so cool.
Yeah, I have a similar story, probably not as awesome as that, but I went and I had an uncle who was building a camp on what we call False River. It's a lake that was cut off away from actually False River or through the Mississippi River, and it branched off and became a lake. But it's a swanky little area. But the permit and whole deal in that area is very like backwoods country stuff, you know. And so we did.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, we did a 2-system install for this house, and our business is not from that area. We drove like an hour and a half to get there, and so we were a new business name, right? Listed, pulling a permit, and it was like, oh, here we go. And we just did it was a jam up job. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had just metal duct, ran to perfection. It was just beautiful. That inspector he was just looking around, and I never forget. I'm like, we good? He goes, oh yeah, we're good. He goes, we're pretty damn good right here. He goes, I
Like
might
this?
take some pictures. You know, he goes.
Oh, okay.
He was literally said, he goes, "You don't see this," and I was like, "I'm assuming that's a good
that's
thing."
cool.
Yeah, that was a
That's
nothing.
awesome.
Nothing makes you more happy when then like inspector walks your job. You could tell he ain't seen nothing like that before.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Jason knows that
good
feeling.
stuff.
Dude,
Yeah.
so you got a guy doing manual J and S and D, and he's doing the whole shebang in shop, or he's
So
subcontracting it out.
no, I use David Mars HVAC.
Okay.
When I had a guy in house, he was learning how to do quick model. We signed up and got quick model, and we're starting to work with it.
Oh yeah,
So we're
the kid that I drove in the car at the symposium. That's right.
Shane. So
Nice kid.
anyway, when I have a new construction job, I send all the plans and all the information to David Mars, and
Cool.
his team does the manual J for us. We get a load, then we pick the equipment, then we do the duct design, and so we can turn it into the customer and say, look, we've done
That's
it all
awesome.
according to specs.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And now
Cool.
you could check the flow, baby.
Absolutely.
All
Check
right,
the duct.
guys. Jason, you want to kick us out with some final words?
Man, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate what you guys are doing, though. Spending time every weekend doing this. I tune in. I look forward to this every single week, man.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
awesome, man. Thanks for showing up, brother. We